Coach, give an opening statement, then I'll take the question.
Obviously, from Saturday to where we are today, done a lot of evaluation. One of the good things that we always do is we always try to put the game behind us on Sunday, whether it's a win or a loss. And I just felt the opportunity that the TCU game presented ourselves. We decided to on Sunday go through it with the coordinators. They watched the entire film, offensively and defensively, which kind of change up. Usually we have a few plays with the coordinators and then their coaches take over. But I made the coordinators watch it, both offensively and defensively with the kids. Watched obviously the kicking game, and then we took Monday as a day off by NCAA rules. And then Tuesday came back over and watched it again because I wanted to drive through the points that existed on film. And this time they watched it with their positional coaches. So kind of a double dip effect to try and get across how important this game was. What we had an opportunity to learn from, we definitely couldn't leave it on Saturday. We needed to go back and revisit. With that being said, it wasn't all negative. There was a lot of positives. I think to see that game unfold, to go into the close to the 2-minute mark and have it to be a 14-7 game, I don't think anybody probably really ever foresaw that for a variety of different reasons, either our offense, their offense, or defenses involved. Just as we looked at the film, I think that one thing jumped out to us offensively. We commonly talk about a 12% rule that we try to hold ourselves to quite a bit. It's been a big emphasis during camp. It's computed by things such as turnovers, penalties, ball control, fumbles, and during practice last week we were under 3% every day. Actually, to get through 3 days practice, not even get to 12%, felt really strong. In a ball game we were at 17%, which we didn't follow through with what we did during practice. Defensively, we had a huge emphasis about getting lined up, being to have yourself in the right position at the right point to be able to execute your job. We did that during the course of the week, and on Saturday we actually got aligned very well. There were very few snaps where our guys weren't in the right position at the right time, but some of us lost track of the assignment they had or the detail of the reaction. Had a higher missed tackle number than we had in all of our scrimmages and all of our in the first game. So what I kind of witnessed on Sunday and Monday, I got a lot of messages from my kids, from our coaches, a lot of some player meetings. Coach, I'm going to do this better. Coach, I'm going to be better at this. I'm going to get this group playing better for some of our positional leaders. And I had a meeting with him yesterday, and I really wanted to understand this. I don't need a Superman to show up on Saturday. I don't need someone to play at a level higher than they've ever played at. I just need them to play what I've seen them do during the course of the week, and that will lead to good results, and gave them several different points to that effect. We'll also ask my coaches to take great detail in what we're asking certain guys to do. Every player, even within a positional group, certain players do certain things better than the other guy. What we got to do to win games is put our best players in the best position to do what they do best and minimize what they don't do best. So that's been a big point here. Maybe a little bit over dramatic for you to understand, but that's been really pretty simple, cut and dry. It's not like we need to go out and have a free agency market and get new players or anything like that. We just need to do what we do better as coaches and players. So health-wise, we're actually much better than probably going into the game week preparation for TCU. We got a number of guys back that are cleared for practice today, which means they'll get in great work this week and next week at full game speed. We haven't been that way, especially on the offense side of the ball. Obviously, we always try to withhold information that might be damaging to us in game preparation, but we just haven't been able to practice at full speed on offense the way that we want to, and we're going to be able to do that moving forward. So that's big. Defensively, didn't have anybody of significance. Had some guys with just some nicks and bangs up, but nothing with lost time or anything like that. So very excited about today and tomorrow, the opportunity to get better here, get a jump on A&M. Obviously, they got a game Saturday. We'll add that to our scouting report. And then Sunday we'll get a jump just because we've already got 2 days of prep work in this week already. So that's kind of where we're at. Other than that, I'll open up questions. Sure.
Welcome in. It's our Wednesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk. Open up with midweek press conference audio from head coach Bret Bielema. Kind of recap a little bit of this past weekend's disappointing loss versus the TCU Horned Frogs in Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. This is going to be a big week for the Razorback program. I agree with what a lot of Bret Bielema said. Not the sky isn't falling for all of those that might think so. Was it a bad week? I'm over the – yeah, it is. I mean, it was. It was not the type of offensive production that you would have liked to have seen. Offensive line has to improve. But, you know, I'm also of the belief this is just week 2. There's week 3, 4, 5, 6. These guys have 10 weeks to really, make a tone of what, took place with the offensive production and the kicking game. I think you're going to see some improvement in that area. But I want to bring in my producer and co-host Demetrius Johnson, who also too attended the press conference today. Based on what you heard from Bret, what are some of the takes that you're going to be looking forward to? Do you sense a lot of changes, or just they need to clean up some things, in your honest opinion?
I think some changes need to be made, but I don't know if they have the personnel on campus to make those changes. Of course, there's other bodies that they can go in there and substitute as the starters, but I think it starts with the offensive line. I don't think the offense was as bad as people think it was, but they have to understand the root of that problem was the offensive line, because you can have Randy Moss out there playing receiver, you can have Tom Brady out there playing quarterback, but in the SEC, if you do not have an offensive line, your offense is going to be stagnant. So I think that's really where they need to address the problem at on the offensive side of the ball.
Now, when you look at it, Demetrius, is it more so as the tackle spots? Because, as I watched the previous 2 weeks, from guard to guard, they've been real productive. Yelta, Frank, and Ty, the walk-on from nearby Fayetteville High School, they played a pretty solid, game up to this point. It just seems like it's at those outside guys that are really creating a lot of, discomfort for Austin. And just like if you have a house, if the foundation in the middle isn't right, it's all going to fall in, and it just doesn't seem sturdy. Is that what you're seeing, that they may have to take a look at some guys at those two positions?
Definitely, and I kind of feel like they have a few guys out of the position. We were talking before the show started, and we were talking how they moved some guys around a week before the season started, or a week before everything kind of got jumping off, and we were curious as to know why. The coaches gave us that they didn't want everyone to know that Ty Clary was going to start. But to me, just something about that offensive line situation still doesn't really sit well to me. For this to be an SEC university, and for our identity to be, hey, we're hogs, we win the games in the trenches, it's not really going in the right direction. And again, to me, that's the root of the problem. I think they have the athletes, I think they have the guys in the skill positions, I think they have the needed speed that they were asking for on offense, but it's that continuity on that offensive line, and I think until they understand and get guys in there that can really play and be trench hogs and get dirty, I just don't see that nasty mentality that I've seen from 2 and 3 years ago. I don't see guys that's willing to get dirty, guys that's willing to stick their face mask out, guys that's willing to, throw their body on the line for Austin to have just that one more second to throw the ball. And I think once we get that mentality and we instill that, but I don't think that's something you can really coach up in between the year. To me, that's an off season. That's something you attack off season. When the season starts, man, it's time to buckle your chin strap and play. So getting that mentality on the offensive side of the ball, I really can't see that developing unless they get a new personnel out there.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But we got a real packed show. I think you guys will like it. We got a big game in the SEC coming up in Gainesville. It was announced that the Florida-Tennessee SEC ball game will be played in Gainesville this upcoming Saturday. And we're going to start off with our next segment with Blake Topmeyer of Rocky Top Insider. He's going to come on. We're going to talk Florida, Tennessee Keys. And then in our 1:30 segment, we're going to flip down and go to the swamp and catch up with our good buddy of Gators Breakdown, David Waters. We'll get his take on just what has to take place from the Florida perspective. And then we'll round it out in that 1:45 segment with 247 Sports. Otis Kirk, we're going to get his take on what he took away from today's midweek press conference with head coach Bret Bielema, offensive coordinator, and defense coordinator Paul Rose. Also want to let everybody know this segment is brought to you by Lindsay & Associates with locations in Fayetteville, also 2 locations in Rogers. This segment is also brought to you by Locomotion, located in Fayetteville just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall. If you don't get a chance to catch us here on our live stream, you can always catch our top interview in podcast form on iHeartRadio as we podcast our top segment each and every day on iHeartRadio. We're going to step away, get a quick break. Blake Topmeyer of Rocky Top Insider. It's on the Hill with Pat Jenkins. Back in a moment.